This episode's going to be called One Day We'll Do These with Pre-Production.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
In the meantime, they'll just get the live ramblings as they come about.
It's funny, we have entire conversations as we're setting up this show that would have been great on the show.
We should just be silent.
We should
just not speak.
No more speaking when the cameras are not rolling.
Yeah, man. All right, so
What's
the
up,
exciting
dude?
thing, I'm not going to explain anything to our viewers. You can just educate yourselves. PlayStation 5 is going to be fully announced today at 7 o'clock.
And for gamers, it's a big day.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm excited. I'm watching it tonight. I'm going to watch it live with a buddy or two. We'll see.
Yeah.
Plan my whole day around it.
Yeah, you really did.
Oh, man.
I've gotten older and more mellow and not cared as much. Not to say I don't game. I game a lot. It's just... It ain't as important to me as it was before. Not that it's. I'm not implying that it's the most important thing in your life right
Sure,
now.
no.
To me, it's lost. It's a
Yeah, well, it's a
priority
hobby.
thing or whatever.
It's a hobby, right? It's a fun thing that you like to do. So,
I still put in an absurd amount of hours a week into video games.
Me too.
Which, to be honest,
Too much.
bugs me the more and more I think about it because I'm like, that stuff could be put into use other ways.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, mental health and relaxing is important, but dude,
taking time for yourself is important.
But how much time you need for yourself?
Yeah, that's the
You don't
the
need,
magic
just 7 hours a day for yourself, dude. You don't.
No, man. Dude, you know what's depressing? Ever since COVID happened, like, Apple has, they, a while back, I can't remember when they did it, but with the update, your screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Apple loves to depress me in the morning. Like, I get up, I use the restroom, I'm like, check the phone, the Facebook, the Bleacher Report, and it's like, you averaged 14 hours. No, it's never been that much. I'm just joking. But it does. The number has increased substantially in the last couple months.
I think mine said like 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I'm like, I hover around anywhere between like 4 and 5 is kind of around there. 4 to 5 hours staring at that stupid screen.
It's not as bad as it sounds because, well, it's not always staring at the screen. Like, I listen to podcasts.
Yeah, this is true. I turn on YouTube just in the background.
To it. So
yeah.
It's not always
Super accurate.
concentration on 4 hours, but it's still a lot. It's a lot of time between phone calls and just having it on. And when I was working in the other office, just sitting there all day, I'd have like something playing, like music or something.
Yeah,
so
sure. Me too.
That counted towards it.
Yeah. The screen time averages, man.
That's going to go up more and more and more. I remember, now that we're talking about screen times, I remember they used to say, remember when we were kids, like, get away from the screen, you gotta go blind.
It's gonna mess your eyes up.
Now we're playing VR and the screen's right there.
Yeah. It's literally strapped to your head.
It's gotten closer.
Well, that was like, you were also told growing up, don't get in the car with strangers. Yet here we are calling Ubers and Lyft rides. And
taxis always existed though. But
I know. It's just funny.
It used to be don't speak to strangers, don't
people
look
on the
at
internet was kind of
like
it was frowned upon. It was strange, chat rooms. Remember chat rooms and how cool that was?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's
just
ASL question mark.
Yeah. I was blown away the first time I saw an AOL style instant messenger message pop up, man, like with my aunt in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
It was just the coolest day ever, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why it just blew my mind. My mom or dad, I can't forget, it was Teresa or John, they were like, text her or type to her, type her a message. I said, hi, Aunt Debbie, how are you? Okay.
Yeah.
And a couple minutes later, it was like, and it came back. And dude, my head just blew up.
Right.
I was so blown away. That rarely happens to me with technology anymore. There's nothing that's been like super impressive.
The rocket.
Super
that
impressive.
Was it. The rocket was it.
Yeah.
Seeing the rocket come back.
That was pretty neat.
The booster.
So I joked about how we talked with Jack about how it was interesting during the live feed, how the rocket right before it landed,
it cuts off.
It cuts off. So I looked into this.
Yeah.
And there's a number of videos out there on YouTube that kind of explain why. And it's funny. I made fun of Jack for his answer, but it was pretty close. Basically, the reverberations in the heat and all of that is causing the ship because the camera and all the live equipment is on the ship. So it's good up until right at that apex point, dude, where it's just like really cooking and it loses signal because it's shooting it up to a satellite, so it's missing, and then it kind of does like this. So I'm like,
so it sounds like they knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah,
and they should have said it
exactly. I'm like, hey Tesla, with all your fancy equipment, how about we have a second ship, or maybe not have the camera attached to where the rocket's gonna land. You know what I mean?
Be as cool or whatever.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure you could have put a GoPro on the side of it. And seen it.
GoPro.
They could have done
Dragon.
They could have done something.
Oh man, I was watching. Speaking of GoPro last night, I used to surf every single day in Hawaii, And YouTube, I love YouTube's algorithm. Every once in a while, it'll just show me something that I just love, man. And GoPro had a feature of, point of view, face like surfers on big waves out in Hawaii, man, like at this break called Pipeline. And on the North Shore of Oahu, dude, and I sat there for probably about 2 hours last night in bed just watching surf clips, man. And I was like, God, I miss it so much. I have not surfed one time since moving back to Virginia or the East Coast. I haven't surfed. And going from 5-6 years of every single day for the most part surfing in Hawaii to come back to Virginia Beach, I need to get back out on the water, even if it's little 2-foot knee slappers. Just get back out on the water, man. I miss it.
Yeah, I got a buddy. He retired recently. He's like 60 something or whatever, and he surfs a lot. Yeah, and he told me something that's gonna be very obvious to you, but as a person that never surfed once and doesn't even go to the beach, it wasn't obvious to me, and I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. He was like talking about how surfing is such a tiring thing. He's like, you got to swim all the way out there with the board. Yeah. Dropping the foam.
Yeah.
Then you got to sit there in the beaming sun and wait for this perfect wave to come. Then you got to stand up. And then you got to swim all the way back because it's exhausting.
It's interesting about surfing. When I first learned how to surf, I was in the Marine Corps, so I consider myself very fit. I was very in shape. Kicked my ass.
Right.
For the first couple weeks. Just kicked my butt, dude. I'm talking, you're using muscles that you don't normally use, like the paddling motion. It's a lot of shoulder and back in like weird spots, and it's a lot of core too.
Right.
And I guess my core strength wasn't as strong as I thought it was. I had a flat stomach, but it broke me off big time. But once you get into surfing shape, you just have to keep surfing or you'll lose it. Like I remember surfing so much, and then I would go home for a couple weeks on leave or something like that, and I'd come home and I'd want to surf right away, and I'd just be like, whoa. Like you lose it very quickly. But yeah, it's very tiring, man. But I will say this about surfing. Is one of the few things in my life where when I did it, it was like that was the only thing that was going on in that moment. They talk about, focusing on the moment. A lot of, yoga people, a lot of spiritual people talk about, don't worry about the past or, the past or the future or what's going to happen or your responsibility. Just focus on the now, like right now. Like when I surfed in Hawaii, that's how it was for me. And it was like the one time or one thing, that has kind of ever gotten me to that point. So I miss it very, very dearly. I dream about it. I miss it a lot, man. So I think I'm going to this summer just get my boards out of storage. They're sitting in storage. I got a couple of custom longboards that are just sitting there waiting to be surfed. And I'm like, because Bree surfed when she was younger, when she was a teenager. So I'm like, we should go surfing. The older she gets, she's deathly afraid of sharks now. Like completely, like won't get in the water. Like we won't even go down to the beach and swim. Like she won't go out and swim. I'm like,
the water bothers me that way. The beach bothers me that way.
She says it's because she can't see. That was the one. And you know what? I talk a lot of shit, but like, I'm like, oh come on. But in Hawaii, you see all the way to the bottom for the most part. Yeah. In most areas in Hawaii, you can see at least 10 feet down.
Even though seeing it is not going to help you either. The thing's way faster than you anyway.
Yeah, you'll never know. You'll never know. Dude, I was surfing in. I used to live on the south shore of Hawaii in Waikiki, down near Diamond Head. I had a little apartment there that I lived there for about a year, about 2 years. I lived there, and we were on the ocean. There was literally a wall, like a stone wall, and a ladder, and it was the freaking ocean. And there was 3 surf spots out back. And I surfed every single day because I would literally take my board and get into the elevator down at the Tropic Seas building in Waikiki, and I would go all the way down, and I would take about 25 paces around the corner, and I was at the seawall, and I would get in, and I would go surf with my best friend David. So we did that every day. But I remember one night we were coming in, and we always would surf till about sundown. The sun would go down, and that was like your cue. It was like, all right, we're going in. So I'm paddling in, and I'm like maybe 100 yards to the seawall. I mean, we're way out there. So I'm paddling in, and you're paddling hard, and I took my right hand was just like, punk, and I go, that was an interesting feeling. And I looked, and there was a damn 6-foot tiger shark. 6 foot, just went right underneath me. And dude, I probably lost all color in my skin. My heart was just like, I saw that, and I was like, oh shit. I just took everything up. I didn't panic. I just put everything on my board and was just sat there for a few minutes and watched it. Watched it for about a minute or two, swim around, went to the seawall. It went to the seawall, dude. This is like in 6 feet of water, 5-6 feet of water. This dude's going over there, and then just cruised out. And David, my buddy David, was way back, and he caught up to me. He was like, dude, I thought you were going to beat me in like normal. Cause I always like to get in there first. Just, I don't know. I'm done quicker, I guess. And I was like, yeah, dude, tiger shark. He was like, what? I was like, there's a tiger shark. I touched it. I touched it with my hand. He was like, what the hell are you talking about? You touched it with your hand. I said I was paddling and I touched a tiger shark. It went right under me. He was like, oh shit. So yeah. But you know what's funny? I went surfing the next day. I don't know. Like if you're gonna get eaten by a shark, that's just the way you're gonna go, man.
You know how you don't get eaten by a shark?
You don't go in the ocean. You know how you don't get pregnant?
One's more dangerous. Or is it?
Yeah, or is it? Yeah, depends on who you ask. But anyway, I've been trying to get Bree to go surfing, so maybe this summer I'll convince her. So they make these, we saw an infomercial, they make these things called shark bands. You can look them up, shark bands. Apparently, the technology is some kind of, apparently, we gotta buy the shark bands. They emit some kind of frequency, or there's something in them that apparently repels sharks. So Bree was like, "Well, if I put one on my left wrist and my right, and then on my ankles,
the ankles and one around your neck,
and then I'll wear a whole suit made of it. Maybe they won't come near." But the commercials made it look very. They're like doing tests, and the sharks are like, "Nope," and they go right away. I'm like,
swimming a harpoon on your back.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do miss it, dude. I think I'm gonna definitely go surfing this summer. Definitely, I miss it.
Right, well,
but yeah, GoPro.
You'll tell us about it.
I will, and how it totally kicked my butt physically because I'm in the worst shape of my life.
Yeah. At least you got the board and you don't go buy it to go figure out you can't do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go and rent some. I mean, honestly, I don't even know about Virginia Beach. I don't know the surf culture here. Like, I've never been to the beach and you just go down and rent boards right at the beach. I don't know. I have no idea. No clue.
Most people I know go to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They surf over there. And there's nothing major over there, but it's just better than Virginia Beach.
It's much better. They got good sandbar breaks.
They got more sharks out there, too.
Yeah, there's sharks everywhere, guys.
Virginia Beach, they're not so much here, though. But you saw Virginia Beach has, I think it's like once a year, they got a named great white shark that comes through here. And
yeah, my buddy Matt, who's the not the public relations guy at the aquarium, he did a freaking hilarious post where it got real big news on local news networks where it's like a great white spotted, blah blah blah, right. And everybody was freaking out. And Matt made this funny thing. It was he took a Google Earth or Google Maps image of that area, like from the aquarium to Rudy, that area, and like up the beach, so the eastern part of Virginia Beach, the oceanfront area, and he goes, the red area is where sharks can be. Yeah. And it was every piece of water minus, of course, the lakes. Yeah. And then there was a little red circle around the aquarium. And I was like, that's hilarious, dude. But I thought that was just great commentary on what was going on locally. Sharks are everywhere, man. But, honestly, dude, it's like, you could, guess what? You can get hit by a drunk driver. You can get flattened by somebody who was texting on your phone. But you have to drive, I guess. Well, you don't have to drive, but I guess it's just risk reward.
I guess if I choose the way, and the question is, how do you want to die?
Yeah, getting eaten by a shark would suck.
Getting eaten is
Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
Well, what about bleeding out after your head been thrown through a windshield and you're just bleeding out for 10 minutes? That's pretty terrible too, huh? I think dying would just suck.
I think drowning is crazy.
Dude, drowning, bro.
Drowning is crazy.
No, thank you.
Fire.
Yeah, being burned. Man, this just took a sharp turn towards Morbidville.
Yeah. What's that thing called? Final Destination?
Final Destination. God, remember those, how popular those movies were? Jeez. I've literally never seen any of them.
You think you're going to die in a hospital bed surrounded by your loved ones, but...
you really don't know, do you?
A lot of times it's just like... It's
freak accidents.
Accidents or just some kind of sickness. It's like you ain't going to die with your sword in your hand. It's like I always wanted to die at 2 a.m. fighting another samurai.
Yeah.
That's how I wanted to go. Like... Yeah, with my Hanzo sword, just somebody slices through me and then my body drops like 30 seconds later.
Yeah, the more, I can't think about it too much, dude. Dying, oof, it's a rough one.
I plan on living forever.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully Elon Musk can just get on it and get us all, invincibility pills where we just stop aging. Can you imagine he was just like, okay, I have made a pill where no matter what age you are now, babies, 2-year-olds will stay 2, 25-year-olds will stay 25. And you old people will be old.
He says they're diverting the focus of SpaceX to just get to the moon now, and put some kind of I think NASA too. They said by 2024. They said that stuck out to me.
2024.
They said by 2024 they want some kind of launching pad / base on the moon.
On the moon. They can
not for people to live there, but just some kind of jumping point.
You can go back and forth
there,
refuel,
and then you come
or
back,
something.
Yeah. They said by 2024 they want to see that happen.
Wow. Man, as I watched those astronauts just sitting there for, 2 hours or however it was, once they got in the capsule and they just sat there through all the, pre-flight prep and all that. Mm-hmm. Like, my heart, like, at 5 minutes left, I'm like, oh, dude, can you imagine what they're feeling? Like, how much fuel they're sitting on and so many variables that have to go right? I mean, yes, they've tested it hundreds of times, but, dude, like, unforeseen things, and all of a sudden you have another Challenger thing happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they feel a mix, but I wonder what you feel most. Is it fear or excitement?
Or is it excitement? It's like you get on a roller coaster. There's a little bit of fear there, and then you're going, okay, but this is going to be sweet.
Yeah, it depends where you sit. Like, it's like... Not sit like physically, but like where you're at in your head.
Sit on the
are you afraid? Do you get on roller coasters because you enjoy fear, or do you get on it because you enjoy speed and turns and stuff? Because I used to be afraid of roller coasters, and now I get on it because I want the fastest and highest drop.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want. It's fun to me because it doesn't occur to me that this thing's ever gonna break. To me, it doesn't.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Loch Ness Monster cart flies off track.
Well, and the things you see with roller coasters, like at worst these days, you see them like get stuck.
Right.
It's not, dude flew off and died or the whole cart broke off. Like,
yeah.
It's usually they got stuck up there for 3 hours and then they pulled them out.
What's the coolest roller coaster you ever been on that you like the most? Maybe.
It's a tie between Griffin and Busch Gardens and the Incredible Hulk in Universal Studios Florida.
I've ridden both of those as well. The Hulk is dope.
The Hulk is cool because it's really fast.
Yeah, just very quick.
Launches you out.
I just rode Griffin for the first time this past Halloween. We went to the Hollow Scream thing and we rode it.
Griffin's real cool.
Griffin's very
Apollo's
good.
Chariot is still cool.
Yeah, to me that seems like the fastest. Apollo's Chariot. It's quick.
It's
because it's so open. It goes for so long. These big, long hills and turns. It just feels like Griffin, you enjoy a longer ride. It seems like.
Yeah, Griffin after that main drop, I don't remember there being a whole lot after that. Well, same thing with Apollo's Chariot. You could say the same thing because after that first drop, that just keeps going. Because they just got a really long drop on that one.
Yeah,
Griffin's a
and
fast
they have a number of
drop.
them though. Like Apollo's Chariot goes up a couple of hills towards the end too.
Remember Fabio got his face busted with a bird or whatever.
Yeah, at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, dude got hit by a fucking seagull.
That's crazy.
It was on Apollo's Chariot when they were releasing it. It was like the opening weekend.
That's crazy to think it's that high.
Yeah,
even though birds go low, right? They go to the ground.
I guess,
but
dude,
like that, the birds are just used to like nothing being here on this particular flight path. And then today, Fabio's face was there.
Fabio was there. Jeez,
just cracked his face and splattered blood to the people behind him too. I remember that.
Man,
you seen Fabio recently? Seen him dude looks terrible.
Does he really?
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of looked terrible when he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
His face looked like it was already, like the skin was falling off of his head.
He always looked to me like and I don't know where he became famous because I could care less about Fabio.
I think he was a model. I think he was a male
Yeah, he was a model, but like to me, he reminded me of like those novels that like women read, like the romances and stuff.
right.
On the cover,
would
cover
be like
art, Fabio with the long hair, or whatever.
Yeah, and there's a fucking unicorn back there, and he's
like
a woman.
That's what I always assumed. I don't know what else he did, but I always assumed that's what he was doing, like posing
that was
for
his
book
thing.
covers.
Yeah, that was his side hustle.
Like I don't know what Fabio does.
Oh man, so many great hobbies for so many different kinds of people, man. I would never read one of those books, as I'm sure someone would never play the latest Call of Duty game on PlayStation 5.
You'd be in the minority, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lot of older people playing games too.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show started. That age of gamer is starting to go like this because we grew up in the beginning, and we're still.
Nintendo came out in 1985, I think.
Yeah, I was born in '85, but I was raised on Sega Genesis and Super NES and all that. But yeah, like people think of gamers as like maybe like 10 years old, like 20 or something like that. But I feel like it's getting much broader. You got 20, 30, 40, 50-year-olds even playing.
Well, you could tell. Well, you could tell that too because the content is more mature now.
Absolutely, it is.
You don't want your kid ripping people's heads off and
or playing Grand Theft Auto 5,
killing people left and right. Yeah, which is messed up. Grand Theft Auto 5 is interesting because.
What are your thoughts on the Grand Theft Auto? Well, we could talk about violence in video games and the correlation, but go ahead.
Well, Grand Theft Auto 5 is, I think they take some things too far. I don't personally, see, I'm more conservative with that stuff for a bunch of different reasons. But like, I was surprised that they had like the sexual stuff they have, that you got to kind of go out of your way to see it anyway.
I think that's the point I like to make. I wrote a whole college paper on Grand Theft Auto 5 and how it's one of the greatest video games ever made because of the freedom that you can have. However you choose to use that freedom is up to the user.
Yeah.
And, you know, I play Grand Theft Auto 5 a lot different than a lot of people. Like, I just, the scope of the game and being able, especially on the later versions where you're in first person perspective and you're on the ground and you can see just the love and attention to detail that those developers had to make that game. I'd like to just walk around the city sometimes. I'm not punching anybody with a freaking, or hitting people with golf clubs or anything, or getting an escort or anything like that. But the freedom is there, which is always pretty cool. At least I thought.
Yeah, we can go into violence and what creates that. Because I did a whole paper in college about that, just video games in general. I pulled up court cases, and I don't remember enough about it now. College is like how many years removed now. Geez.
Yeah.
But video games are not what making people violent.
I don't think so either.
I don't think movies are making people violent.
That's like saying like, you know, okay, well, I play Madden a lot. Why the hell am I not able to throw a 60-yard touchdown bomb down the sideline?
Well, it's a cop out. In
real life.
It's a cop out for, I think.
I should be like freaking Brett Favre at this point.
It's hard. I don't think there's any one answer for why someone does what they do.
Yeah. Especially violent acts. I feel like there's a multitude of reasons.
There's a billion different things that can affect you different ways. First of all, each person is so different. Each person is raised different. Your brain is going to be pre-wired different too. From the moment you're born, your brain is already like going to have some kind of... It's going to be different. You're going to be hurt by different things, and I'm going to be hurt by by the way you're born. Just before your parents even mess you up with their ideals and stuff like that.
Right.
Your brain is already like wired in a certain way to where certain things are going to affect you differently.
Well, in those first 4 years, that's the most critical. You know what I mean? It's the most critical.
Yeah, so video games are not the case. I've played violent video games my whole life.
Me too.
Very violent video games, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And it hasn't made me go out there and do stuff. Honestly, if I could think of what made me do some of the bad things I've done, it might have gone back to like my own self-esteem issues. Wanting to prove something.
Yeah. And
wanting to prove that I'm not afraid of doing something. So maybe for me, like fear,
if there was any like peer pressure involved in any of that stuff either?
Not so much peer pressure.
For you?
No, yeah, not for me. Yeah. Just real quick, I haven't even thought about it so much, but right now, just trying to think of it. I think fear is probably the biggest thing. Being young and being afraid of different things, being afraid of different situations or even people, and wanting to prove that you're not gonna do this to me, or you're not gonna, whatever. Like it's just that alpha type of predator, whatever the heck type of thing.
Yeah,
made me do stupid stuff.
So video games had Grand Theft Auto Grand Theft Auto 3 back on PS2.
It wasn't. I want to go do something like a video game. Like remember those Columbine kids? They were talking about we want to do like Doom or whatever.
Like, come on, man.
Like. And they would even remember back then they were blaming it on Marilyn Manson and stuff. It's like
well, everything has been blamed at some point.
Eminem, Marilyn Manson. It was always like I listened to this song and
gangster hardcore hip hop. Like come on, man.
Man, how I forget his name right now. Wasn't Charles Manson saying Helter Skelter? The Beatles song made him like part of it.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact details, but I vaguely
people
remember
people a little older than us, no disrespect, but y'all just remember a little more because it happened during y'all time, like the whole Charles Manson thing. But there was like the Helter Skelter thing. So I always finding a reason to blame on somebody else why you do what you do.
Yeah.
So
we talked about it last week. It starts at home.
Me looking inward, I think for me it was just I think afraid of different things and wanting to prove you're not afraid.
Yeah.
And that goes back to not trusting people too, for some reason, I think. When you don't trust people, you're constantly on edge. You're afraid of somebody hurting you. And I think the way you get rid of that fear is just being dominant, making other people afraid of you, or afraid of what you would do. That sort of thing. But I think back, dude, like at almost 35 now, I think back to like some of the stuff I said and some of the things I did to people. I'm like, there's no reason for that. Isn't it? I don't know.
Well, you were young, dude. People make mistakes, dude.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm gonna cancel you for what you did, by the way, when you were in your teens. You're canceled, Tony.
Nah, but it's funny because I go back to like I see people still like the world is small. Like that I remember stuff I did to people that maybe they don't remember, maybe they do and we don't speak about it. But I remember and I feel horrible about it. I'm like, dude, I still come across them now like old and they got kids and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I remember when I did such and such, and I'm just like,
yeah,
you can't take that back, man. It's just change. Like what's the Christmas story? Like the chains they carried. It's like I live with a lot of little things like that. Like I see people and I'm like, there's stuff I like with my experiences I have with my brother that I'm like it's crazy. You start thinking about it, it's like, wow, like you really can't take that back. Yeah. And maybe it makes you your biggest enemy of yourself, right? Like the hardest thing about forgiveness is to forgive yourself first. But it's
one of the more difficult things to do in life.
It's stuff that happens, man. You got to be kind.
Yeah.
You get further.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about how that contributes to business too the other day. How like it's we were talking about like what's step one in business to be successful, and I think one of the main things is like, first you have to invest in yourself, and second, you just got to learn to be nice. Learn to just be civil with people. You're gonna have to network at some point.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's online, whether it's whatever, because the reality is you're not gonna do it by yourself. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna know somebody to know somebody. The business we do right now, like some of the biggest clients we have is through referrals.
Absolutely.
And that's networking. That's all it is.
We did a good job for one person, made a great impression.
Yeah.
We're on time, happy to work, delivered a great product.
That's what's important now as parents too, because a lot of the situations that helped you out was through parent connections. A lot of stuff is
Absolutely.
but parent connections with me. You got to set that stuff up for your own kids too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just, I got to figure out how to make my business big. It's like, what connections do I need to make to, 15, 20 years later down the line, open up doors for my own kids. If you're not thinking that way, you're selfish.
Yeah.
Like, you're selfish. You're just thinking about today and how you could pay your bill today. But you got to connect. This is a social world, dude. We're social people. And you're not going to do it by yourself. At some point, you're going to have to knock on somebody else's door and ask for help.
It's in a lot of industries, especially this one, though. The entertainment and production world.
Yeah.
It's all about relationships. It's like every client we have, we would hope that once we've done a great job for you and they were happy with it and they were happy with the price and the product, they come back.
Yeah.
They don't go anywhere else. Obviously, that's not going to happen all the time.
Nah.
But that's kind of the goal, right? At least for us.
Yeah.
We're just trying to build that clientele.
Yeah, my first job I got on my own. Like, that wasn't something that anybody helped with. Actually, like, my first, like, I think, like, my first, like, 2 jobs or something like that. Because I had one job where I worked in a laundry. My aunt helped me with that. That was awesome. But other than that, I had other jobs which, like, I went out and got on my own. And those jobs led to other things. Because, sitting there for years at those jobs, like Chick-fil-A and all that stuff, you meet people. And then it's like, hey, I know a guy that's hiring over here, whatever. And you make moves that way. So,
yeah.
For sure, if you keep your head down and try to be antisocial, you're gonna make your life really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Have a really hard time for no reason. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, man.
What else is going on? Nothing really. PlayStation is going on today. Last of Us is coming out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Video game stuff.
Movies
struggling.
have just kind of stopped.
Yeah, they said,
TV shows have kind of just stopped.
AMC, I saw another post that AMC's like they don't know if they're gonna come back. They just did at this. I think they were losing like I don't know how many millions or $1 billion a day or something. I don't know. Wild. It was a huge number. It's like they don't know that they're ever coming back.
The good news is The Mandalorian will be released this year. They had already shot all the principal photographers for season 2 before COVID happened. So they're just working on the show right now. It's gonna come out, and I think they're gonna release it earlier than the fall than they initially did.
Yeah, that show was really good, man.
That was a great show.
I haven't seen the behind the scenes. I haven't had interest in that.
I've watched 2 episodes of it, and from a content creator standpoint, really cool to watch. It's cool to just see other creative people share the same kind of passion for what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's obviously what we do is on a much smaller scale, but the themes are, they stretch across everything. So I enjoy it. The Disney Gallery, as they call it.
Yeah,
I think is what it's called.
Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else.
Not much coming out, dude. Not much going on. We're back to work, which is great.
Yeah,
for the most part, it's been good. It's been good. We're in phase 2 now here in Virginia.
I don't know what that means.
May as well be 1999.
I spoke to some business owners and they weren't sure what it means either.
No,
so they were disappointed.
Very confusing.
They were disappointed in the lack of direction from like the city and stuff like that. Well, not necessarily the city, really the state, as far as what they should and shouldn't be doing, because all they have is rules. Just like, for example, like your businesses is 50% capacity. But they were asking stuff like for sanitation. Is there any kind of higher sanitation requirement? I went to a restaurant, spoke with a restaurant owner, and she was saying that, she took it upon herself to cover every plate when they serve it. Like, they take it out on a covered plate, and they wash the bathrooms after every single person uses it. They were doing a few things. But she was like, there's no direction from the actual government besides 50% capacity. Like, there's no...
Like, that's really it. I think it comes down to the individual business owner in terms of how far they want to take it. Are they going to be saying, hey, look, we have 42 people in. We're at 50% capacity. We are closed until somebody leaves.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Hey, you can't come in. You ain't got a mask.
Yeah, I think that's understood.
You're not coming in.
Yeah, they get that. The mask, too. The mask is a problem because the mask can't be enforced.
They can't be enforced.
It can't.
Well, it's just one of those things. I have an underlying health condition. I don't like wearing them.
Well, it's up to the business, because some people, I think it was Target or somebody around here that put a thing on their door that said you can't come in unless you have a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got people that want to prove a point. You got people with guns that'll, the segue. You got people with guns that'll still go into places that say don't have a gun in here.
Yeah, they'll openly carry it.
Yeah, and
you're always going to have that portion of the population that just doesn't give a shit. They're just like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to do what I want to do.
Because the sign is, the reality is the sign is not a law. No. It's not breaking. So if somebody puts a sign on their door that says no gun, on their business, like for example, I think Buffalo Wild Wings has it or something like that, where it's like no guns on here. If you walk in with a gun, it's not illegal. What becomes illegal is Buffalo Wild Wings now has the ability to tell you have to leave. I told you no guns in here, and then now you're trespassing. That's the law you broke.
Yeah,
but ignoring
the right
ignoring
to refuse
a civilian sign is not illegal. So
yeah.
It's the same thing with the masks. They can say no mask in here. You can still walk in. I think it was we went to Wawa. Said you need a mask, and there was people in there without masks.
Of course. And
the worst they can do is a manager can come out and say, "Listen, you're gonna have to leave, or you're trespassing."
Like, okay, let me.
And then you're in a social media situation where it's like, I got kicked out for XYZ reason. They didn't want me there. And you're supposed to be wearing your mask.
Yeah.
They're doing all that stuff. So that doesn't seem to be going anywhere in the near future. I know at the other job they said that we're in this position for a while. Is the way they worded it. There is no date. We asked for specific dates, like, hey, do we have a timeline of when we're back in the full swing of things? And they said, nope. We are here for a while. Which is weird because I'm like, what's a while?
Yeah, what is that?
Like, it's good for planning. Like, it'd be good to know, is a while 3 weeks? Is it a year? What's a while?
You could probably expect at least a couple more months.
Yeah, I feel like I got the weird feeling that it's going to be at least a 2021. Like, it might be like January, whatever.
Like I feel like fall time is where we'll start to get the push where it's like, okay, we need to start trying to get back to normal.
Yeah, because where I'm at,
it's football season, dude. It's time. No.
I don't know what they're going to do about that because there's just so many. Well, didn't they bring basketball? Basketball came back
Basketball's
just
coming back
with nobody in the stands.
Yeah, and there's a number of new rules. The NFL apparently is going to do it with no fans in the stadium. There's going to be like 6 foot distancing in the locker rooms. They're going to do all kinds of crap, dude.
That's kind of silly, though.
They're going to pump in crowd music is what people are talking about. I'm like, are they going to pump it in locally, like at the stadium, or are they just going to do that in post? The nerd in me is like, I wonder how they're going to accomplish this.
I know WWE, you don't watch it these days, but
I don't.
They've been doing it without a crowd, and it's been weird. It's been real weird because they still do their ring. They still do their ring thing, and
the entrances with nobody there cheering.
Mm-hmm. And they still get on the mic and they do their trash talk, but they do it into a camera, and the camera's there. Guys on a steady cam, like going around. Yeah.
It's a weird time, man.
There's so much going on, I guess, in some form. Like,
what? Ben, my good buddy Ben, our friend Ben, texted me the other day. Said, "Look what's on ESPN." It was freaking F1 racers, like actual racing teams and drive. I was about to say pilots, drivers playing F1 on PS4 Pros and Xboxes online, and they were literally broadcasting it and had a crew broadcasting it and commentating on people playing video games, F1 drivers playing the new F1 game, and they used the same camera angles and they did it all, and they literally had a legit qualifying race.
I saw somebody else do that. I forgot what other sport they did that, but
wild.
I've seen them doing that.
That's like LeBron.
They were doing that with
playing
basketball.
2K. LeBron's playing 2K.
Yeah, they were doing that with basketball.
But like, I get like having like a tournament, like, oh, they're doing a 2K tournament for entertainment. But like, these guys were like, they were completing their season with the points and all that, and they were like, well, it's the actual track, and it's the actual cars and the actual teams. But Ben was funny. He was like, dude, they're a bunch of noobs though. They got no damage on the cars. They're ghosting, so you can't run into people. I was like, I kind of get that one. It's all about just time and speed, but like no damage on the cars. They said Ben said, because he's a big F1, he plays that game. He's like, the only thing they had turned on the ESPN race, the broadcast of the video game race, was tire degradation. So they had to come in for pits to get tires and fuel.
They should have had it all on.
That would have been crazy, right? And I asked him, I was like, because he plays the game. I don't play racing games. And he was like, I said, well, how are they doing? Are they just killing it? He was like, some of them are pretty good, but you could tell that, they've only been playing this game for a little while. But it was impressive because he sent me a clip on the phone, so I watched it. These dudes are flying around these tracks. Mm-hmm. And on crummy phone quality, if you're looking quickly, you're like, oh, they're back to racing. No, it's the video game, man. It's pretty crazy.
I wonder why that they can't do. You're in a car.
Mm-hmm.
No, those cars are big.
Yeah.
There's 6 feet there.
Yeah, I guess we can get back to racing. Speaking of racing, did you see NASCAR ban the freaking Confederate flag?
There's people furious about that.
Why? Well, I understand why some people are furious. I don't agree with those people.
So here's an interesting point I've had too, like even religiously, like At what point does something become a sin? It's a very big topic to unpack that we're not going to do in the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes of a podcast. But I've thought about this a lot, and it has to do with that flag. Like it's parallel to that. At what point does something become a sin? Because many things will offend many people and mean different things to different people. So does something lose its meaning because it offends you? If something started as, so specifically like the Confederate flag, let's say for argument's sake, because there's going to be people that's going to hit me with a history lesson.
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking about exact history. Let's just go by perception. Let's say for argument's sake that the Confederate flag always meant racism from the beginning, right? Let's just say that. If there are people that are not racist and they grew up with that just representing where they came from as far as geographically. I'm from the South. I love Georgia, and Georgia, that flag speaks to me. When I see that, I see Georgia. That's where I grew up.
I feel home.
If that flag means that to them, are they not allowed to feel that because the origin was something else? I don't know. If we go back to the origins of, that's why I say, when does something become a sin?
Well, it was a rebel flag. It was the flag of the Confederates.
Right, and there's people, and are you allowed to now cancel something because maybe somebody says, well, that represents the slavery of that time, and those people were slave owners, and the whole Civil War was about slavery. It depends where you sit on this historically and stuff like that, right? So I don't care too much about the Confederate flag. I got no ties to it. You can do what you want with it. I don't care about it. That's not my flag. I'll put it that way.
A lot of people are saying, well, you're erasing history. You're not erasing history. Like taking the monuments down. Like I've seen a lot of different varying two different viewpoints on the whole taking down of the monuments, these Confederate monuments. Well, this is a slippery slope, Matt. You're erasing history. I don't think we're erasing history so much as or how about we put it in a museum and we teach about it because it is our history, and I don't want to ever erase history, even the bad stuff, because I think that's important.
I think some people want them completely destroyed, though.
I understand wanting to take it down. It's like I can't remember if it was in Richmond or something. They had this old stone. It was a slave block, an auctioning block, and nobody's got an issue taking that down. Get that out of here. We'll get rid of that, but it's like the moment you take Robert E. Lee down now we got a problem. But you're taking my Confederate flag now? Now we got a problem.
But again, it goes back to perceptions, right? Because some people see him as a hero, and some people see him as
the leader of. I agree.
And history is told by the victors, right? And now
Speaking of that, dude, this meme. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's the meme where the guy's sweating and he doesn't know what red button to push, and on one side it says hates participation trophies, and on the other button it says wants all of their monuments left up. And then it's got him with a Confederate flag. Like, it's just kind of funny to me. I thought that was pretty accurate.
When I went to Germany, the sentiment was that you do not mention Adolf Hitler, you do not mention Nazis. That name is erased. That's like Voldemort to them.
Yeah, he shall not be named.
There's different ways to see it. People process pain differently, and people process shame differently, right? So in Germany, the sentiment around the people that because I would ask this is a big part of your history. Like it's. To me, I'm immature that way, I guess, but I'm curious.
Well, a lot of people
also.
say that the Civil War was a big part of our history.
Yeah, but it's
a dark part of our history.
Yeah, and for some reason we see like the Nazi thing a little more. From American side, looking at Germans, we see that way worse. But it's like we didn't do stuff too far off.
I mean, the South wasn't mass murdering people.
Yes and no,
but it depends on how you're looking at it.
Maybe the numbers, I guess, are different or whatever. Right? I don't remember the numbers, but it would seem that that's seen as a darker side of history than America's. But America's is just dark. Yeah. But for sure, the way that they handle it was just we're going to erase it from our history. We're not going to mention it. We don't want to see it. We don't want to talk about it. That guy doesn't exist.
I don't think that's the way for the Confederate flag. I think I'll make it very known. I'm for getting rid of it. In terms of out in the public, it's just now saying you can't have it in your home. That's one thing.
I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent about it. Same thing with the monuments. I'm indifferent. But again,
I don't know.
It's not. See, whether people want to realize it or not. Here's the thing. I don't want to completely be disconnected from these social issues. They're very important to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when it comes to that Civil War and stuff like that, that wasn't really. I don't identify with that being my war. My family comes from an island. I don't necessarily feel a connection to that flag. I don't get it. And I don't really give too much opinion on it because I don't know what that flag means to you. I don't know what you should do with it. Same thing with those statues. Those are not my people. I don't understand the importance of it for, I don't feel that connection like that. I get the historical significance. I don't see the connection. So to me, you destroy it or keep it, I'm kind of indifferent. One interesting point I heard was somebody was explaining.
A lot of people feel differently, dude.
Oh yeah, no. One person was explaining that and I got to do some research on this. I was talking about this the other day. It depends the origin of these statues, right? Because some people believe that the origin of these statues, they were, once slavery was abolished and slaves started getting freed and going about their lives, to whatever extent they could. There's this thought that those statues were put as a reminder that you guys were slaves, and they were put in certain communities as a reminder of who your master was and is still.
Burn them to the ground.
Yeah, so if that was the case, I understand it. I get it.
Well, I think it's all about the lens you look through it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I honestly think though that from an outsider looking at that situation,
you lost, dude. The South, you lost, bro.
I think the social issues are much bigger than statues.
I think they are too.
I know that there's power in symbols.
Yep.
These symbols are not as important as the overarching point of
what's going on in today's society.
Yeah,
how are we treating people in today's society?
And if anything, it becomes kind of a distraction because again, when the kneeling was about the cops, and we knew it was about protesting police brutality, man, we knew that.
You're talking about kneeling for the national anthem.
Kneeling, yeah, people, we knew that. If you were paying attention, you knew it, man. And
it was never anti-military. It was never anti.
And I don't know how many times it had to be stated that it wasn't. Even if you thought it that way, when it was clarified that it wasn't, and you continue to say yes, it is. Yes, it. Okay,
that's a choice.
Even if you knew that, man, I mean. It didn't mean those things. So the overarching point is about the unfair treatment of people, specifically treatment of black people in this particular situation, because that's who was killed in this one on camera for everyone to see, and it just didn't seem like nothing was gonna happen until protests and all this stuff. I don't know. Those monuments to me aren't as important because now the narrative is about destroying monuments, and that's not what
coming after my history.
That's not what the conversation was about.
We need to fix.
Media is good at that. And people need to pay attention. You got to play the media's game. Don't let the narrative be pushed anywhere. Because I guess that was my point that I almost lost for half a second. Freaking, the kneeling started becoming about the flag, and the media successfully made it about the flag, made it about protesting the military, and. Yeah. If the monuments keep getting destroyed and stuff like that, the media will effectively make it about monuments being destroyed, and the narrative will be lost, and a lot of progress that was being made, it'd be set back. It's not that it's going to be lost, but you're going to be arguing 3 different arguments now.
Yeah.
When there was a pretty laser focus, a week or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was real clear. Everybody was on the side of, hey, this is what it's about, and everybody around the whole world, people in Germany and Europe and stuff like that.
Worldwide protests. It was it's still happening, and I love it.
It was like the first time you see that. Like, just everyone was on board, like, oh, we get it now.
Yeah.
And then now, like, this past week,
and here's the crazy thing. This has been happening forever, dude.
That's why when I hear people say we need to raise awareness, it makes you mad.
Dude, what are you talking about? Raise awareness. This has been going on for our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
In our parents' whole lives. Like, dude, talk about like the mid-60s, talking about these summers of love. Like, that's what everybody, all the hippie movement. Nah, dude, there was a lot more going on in the mid-60s that we don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to get too heated, dude, because we've tried to play it cool with what's been going on. But this shit is enough, dude.
Yeah, no, it gets tiring.
Enough is enough. The freaking police need to be policed.
Yeah, no, it gets tiring. It makes you callous and stuff. But if you think about what people are asking, it's a reasonable request, right? Like, everyone should be accountable for their own actions.
Don't kill me. How about that?
But that's all you're asking. You're asking for accountability is all you're asking for.
Just accountability.
That's it. You're not necessarily, we're reasonable people. We know that you need police officers.
We need police officers.
We know there's great police officers. We know there's great people in the world. These things don't need to be stated.
And we know that it's a tough job because the police's role in our society these days is we talked about it, way too widespread. The police are in charge of way too much. Their scope of work and what they're responsible for is way too fucking much. We need to narrow that down, and we need to police them, dude. Like, stop killing me. How about that? Stop killing us.
Yeah, it's easy. I think the solution is pretty easy. We complicate it sometimes and wondering, let's go launch a committee. And you see that a lot. They're celebrating, we're going to create this new committee that's going to address these things. Dude. It's not that. It's very easy. It's accountability. It's learning, when and not to use force. Because as civilians, again, I go back to what we're taught as people that carry guns, because I carry one also. We're taught when and where to use force and how to avoid using force. So that standard should be applied across the board. And there's a lot of people doing great work. There's nothing wrong with when you see something wrong, just saying, hey, that situation was wrong. Something should be done about that. Like, I don't think it's something.
Let's fix the problem, like the actual problem, to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. Like,
it's abusing their power.
If you do something wrong, I don't think the answer is we address what you did wrong and we get it right. That's it. This isn't a situation about, well, Tony, you didn't call me out the last time I did something, or you didn't call out my cousin when you saw him do something, or you heard that my friend did something, you didn't do nothing about it. It's not an effective way to get stuff fixed.
No, it's not.
Like, let's fix this issue and let's move on. That's kind of like the lazy way of just like dealing with stuff. Like, well, you're refusing to deal with it by bringing up other situations and saying, well, since you didn't do nothing about that, then we shouldn't even be allowed to have an opinion about this.
Yeah. And here's the thing. This is a very, very complicated issue in our society, in American society, in our country. It's so complicated. And there's many different routes. Cops is, the police in this country is just one of the problems, but it's a big one. Mm-hmm. So it's not all on the cops, but it's a great first start, dude.
Yeah.
Like, dude, systemic racism in this country, that's just one part of it. But my goodness, can we fix our fucking cops first? Like, can we start there?
Well, and
let's hold people accountable.
And here's the thing that's interesting.
My goodness, dude.
And to those that already understand without it being further explained, right? But you always hear people preface stuff like, but there's a lot of good of this.
Dude, I don't want to hear that shit.
We get it. There is.
Of course.
There absolutely is. And it's not stated because it's already understood. It's already understood that this is a minority of people dealing with this situation, right?
Well, and we need to be able to have a couple of different thoughts happening at one time. You talk about this beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
You could be on the side of the protests, and you can still be against destroying property.
Mm-hmm.
You could be for good cops, and you can also be for freaking putting an enema in the freaking police state of ours and starting over, dude.
I'm a fan of consistency, man. If you are against, if you're against the rioting, I would hope you're also against just the killing of people in handcuffs. That's I don't know how more simple to put that, right?
I hope these feeds on these social media networks continue to be filled with terrible, terrible shit that the cops are doing. I hate it. I hate to see it, but I feel like so many people are so freaking oblivious to what is going on. And I usually don't share too much on Facebook, but I'm starting to too, man. It's just like, dude, people got to see what the hell is really going on, man. Because it's never happened to you. It's not in your world. You don't have to worry about certain things. But guess what, dude?
The Inquirer puts it out.
And all of a sudden the New Yorker wrote an article about it. And now did you know that this is happening, Tony? Dude, it's been going on for far too freaking long, man. But anyway, we can keep going on it. Maybe we'll do a whole episode about it. But
well, everybody champions a movement, right? Like the Me Too thing, and what's interesting is when they were doing the Me Too, not everybody was jumping up and down and saying, what about everybody else? It's
well, they take a concept and they hear it. It's like the whole defund the police. People hear defund the police. They want to go law. We're gonna have the purge tomorrow. No more police officers. It's like It's like that Star Wars. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. No, we're not talking about defunding the entire police and going to a lawless country where there's no police. That's not what that means. Black Lives Matter does not mean all the other lives, fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're taking it so literally. It's just... Anyway, I'm getting worked up, dude.
No. I'm getting worked up. The way we move forward is very simple, man. We stop.
Excuse me.
You shouldn't be beating somebody up in handcuffs. You for sure shouldn't be killing somebody in handcuffs. And at the same time, bad people should be in jail. We get this. This is a very simple concept.
Yeah.
We got to be careful with just being incredibly offended and canceling people because they are lashing out about a situation that they're more passionate about than you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult if you're a person that just wasn't stopped by police. I'm not talking about why you were stopped by police, but if you don't have an experience with being stopped by police and any kind of, distress that brings about, it's hard to accept an opinion from you about the way you're supposed to behave around a police officer.
Yeah.
It's
isn't
hard.
It interesting how, I have friends that are cops. But it's interesting. I go, you always got to preface. I have friends that are cops. Trust me.
So I'm now qualified.
Yeah, now I'm qualified to talk about it. Yeah. No, here's my opinion. It's just funny that you have to be very respectful and nice to cops. And they don't have to do that shit to you.
Well, and they can lie to you too. They're allowed to just straight up lie to you.
Like
and
you
put
have to
pressure
be
on
like,
you and-
yes, sir, and you have to. Like you can't be like you get pulled over for a speeding ticket. Can you imagine? Like the cop comes up and you're pissed, and you're just like, dude, are you kidding me?
like-
You're talking to the cop. Like you're gonna fucking pull me over? How fast was I going? Like you can't talk to these cops that way.
Well, you shouldn't talk to anybody that way.
I agree.
And maybe that's the
But, like,
bigger issue, right?
jeez.
Maybe that's the biggest issue. Because I had posted online, and I still stand behind it, that the answer to all of this is love. That's, if you look at the core, like when does something become a sin? What is the root sin? It's the lack of love. That's it. That's really it. Love would have stopped you from doing these things. Love will have you a little more patient to listen. Where I see it as it's a complex issue because we make it complicated. It's be nice to people and treat people decent. That's all people are asking for, on all sides of it.
Equally.
That's it, man.
Treat me with respect.
And the answer is very easy. I go back to the same thing. In this particular issue, people are asking that once you are in handcuffs, you not be just manhandled, thrown around, and get a knee put on your neck. That's all they're asking in this particular issue. Now, there's a lot of other people with this taking down statues and taking down symbols and stuff like that. The core issue is once you are in handcuffs,
You are detained.
please do not go to work on me, kicking me, punching me in the face, spraying me.
How about you
with
stop
mace.
sicking the dogs on me after I'm cuffed and on the ground,
At that point, take me to jail. That's it.
and let the courts decide what happens.
Let people go to jail because
You are not
one
the
day
judge, the jury, and the executioner. You're not.
This ain't Judge Dredd out here.
This
man.
is not. You say I laugh when you say it, but it is not Judge Dredd, dude.
And that's Judge Dredd. I am the law. It's
Like, dude.
I judge you.
Put me in the car. Shut the door.
That's it. That's it. It's easy.
Take me to jail.
Everybody should have their day in court. They should. Everybody should
Right.
get it, right?
Right.
It's easy.
Right.
You might want yours in court one day. You might be going somewhere real fast because, something happened. You're on your way to a funeral. You got to go to the bathroom. The other day, I was speeding like crazy. I had to go to the bathroom.
Well, the older we get, that's more of an
It's like
emergency.
you might be doing 80 on the highway because you got to get to the bathroom. You get pulled over. You would hope you don't get beat up and then you're laying in a puddle of your own urine. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you hope. But,
It's a lot to do.
until you have that experience, your opinion is going to be shaped a certain way, which on the other side of it, see, I had this conversation with Jerome a long time ago, and we'll close this out here soon. It's probably the last thought or whatever. And I used to be more callous towards social issues and just be like, get over it or whatever, right? And I told Jerome, now that I'm older, I realized that I just wasn't hurt enough, right? So my opinion changed the more I got hurt. And my understanding changed the more I got hurt.
Well, that's a human experience.
Right. So we have to understand too from the other side, for people that have had bad experiences, right? It's hard. It's a difficult challenge, and you could say, well, forget everybody else's feelings, but just for half a second, just have like some empathy and try to understand the other shoes. People have been fortunate to not have those same experiences, and that's why they have the opinions they have. So maybe in the brief chances you have where you got a buddy that says, oh, you're wrong, this is the way you should be thinking, you shouldn't be doing that, just understand that maybe they weren't as hurt. They have had that experience. They've been fortunate. And they don't get your
They're
shoes.
ignorant,
they don't,
is what you're saying.
To an extent, ignorant in the Webster's dictionary sense is not necessarily a bad way to frame things, to understand it. It's just you don't know. And people should be fine with being ignorant as far as accept their ignorance and just seek to learn, right? Like not be fine staying ignorant, but just if you don't know, you don't know, right? Like just say, I don't know, I want to learn, understand it. And these things is kind of like if you don't know, you've been under a rock and you're pretending you don't know.
That's a really good way to think about it. I recently saw somewhere, in a debate or any kind of interaction with somebody who thinks, the opposite of what you think.
Mm-hmm.
How about for a moment, instead of getting more and more entrenched and putting up the blinders and the earmuffs and all that, try to listen, number one, and then more importantly, listen to the yeah buts. Yeah, I hear that, but try to get on the other side and this is just being a good person, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, yes, have your opinions, and you can have very strong opinions on certain things, moral things, but try to listen to the other side.
When I told you
Listen to the other side. Fuck trying.
When I meet somebody or when I'm just even around friends, and just whoever, I'm always thinking not necessarily what was said, but why they say it. I'm trying to understand that side of things. I've always been that way. I'm always trying to like deconstruct the person as far as Why do they have the circles they have? Why do they have the opinions they have? Because I think it's kind of important to just understand where they're coming from. Because somebody might not necessarily be malicious in what they say.
And don't try to prove somebody wrong. And that's why I hate debating people. It's people try to like change your and come to my side. Like the whole goal is to get you from over there and bring you over here. No, it's to hear the reasoning, like you just said. Why do they think that way?
Because I could see
why. And then meet in the middle somewhere.
Because something I never said, certainly not on camera, and I don't think I mentioned it to you, but I understand why people say that don't kneel when the flag is when they're doing the national anthem and stuff. I understand it.
Of course.
I could see a situation where somebody had a son or a father or something that died at war defending what, they say defending the flag. You're really defending the country. The flag doesn't need to be defended. It's a piece of cloth.
Yeah. Well, in the literal sense, sure.
Yeah. So, when we're talking about lives, the flag is nothing. It's cloth, right?
But what does that symbol mean to you?
Right. So if a person says, don't kneel, you're being disrespectful, I understand that. Do you also understand the other point? So I wish people would get that. Like, okay,
do people get frustrated at ball games when the national anthem is played and these fat fuckers they sit in their seat and continue to drink their beer and I stand up because I was in the Marine Corps, I stand at attention, I put my hand over my heart? No, I'm not going to freak out on that guy. It's his choice, dude. It's your choice. That's what I feel like this America is. You have the freedom to protest peacefully, however you see fit.
You bring up a point though that makes me it kind of.
But I can understand. When I can understand.
This morning I saw that in soccer they put in their rules now that they're not going to mandate that people stand for the national anthem. I like my hot take real quick without even thinking about it. That kind of worried me.
Why?
Because I don't think people should be forced to do it. Right.
Agreed.
But I think it's important to show some respect still, and you have to and you have to deem when something is being disrespectful on purpose, right? So if I'm kneeling to protest something, I'm not disrespecting the flag, right? But I think if you're just sitting down because I'm lazy,
that's your right.
It's your right, but it's just disrespectful, right? Like it's just like
it's your right to burn a flag.
It is.
I don't agree with a lot of things, but you know what, dude? This is America.
But I stand out of respect, and I would hope most people would do that. Now, if you're gonna kneel for a specific issue, I'm with that too.
Well, I would hope most people wear masks. I would hope a lot of things, but people are gonna do what they want to do, and they should be allowed to do that. You should be allowed to have your opinion and do what you'd like to do within the rules of society, the laws of society.
Oh, that's the thing, right? That's what
it's like. That's what this country is, man. Even you can't pick and choose, dude.
Even that's slippery because you got to be careful who decides what's socially acceptable and what's right today and what's wrong tomorrow, right? So,
but somebody's saying you must stand for the national anthem. Like, dude, we're that's dangerous to me. That's not what this country's about.
You stand in court,
yeah. All rise.
They tell you better rise. You will stand.
Better rise.
Your rights are gone there, right? Why are your rights gone?
Yeah.
You would think in court is where your rights matter the most.
Yeah, they would be the most prevalent.
But you stand up, right?
Yeah. Even if you're not a religious person, you got to put your hand on that Bible.
Yeah, there's rules we don't like that we kind of deal with. So it's a tough issue, right? Like that becomes complicated. Like how do you when we start trying to accommodate every single person's opinion and belief,
it's very difficult. It
becomes real difficult, man. And that's why I'm personally against, as a religious person, I'm personally against religion being in school. Because if you start accommodating, I used to tell my Christian friends, you guys want prayer in school, you got to understand we're in America, and for them to do that, they have to allow all prayer in school. And
is that so wrong?
Do you want your son? I think it's wrong. I think your belief in God and your faith is rooted at home, not by a school system that's
I
not
agree.
necessarily Christian.
I agree with that. That's why we have separation of church and state.
We do, but we don't.
But
That's a fallacy in itself.
It is
the whole separation of church and state doesn't exist. It's very intertwined.
Yeah, especially in politics.
It should be separate. I personally don't want the state telling me what to do and what I can't do as far as religion. That's something I'm very, very, very serious about when it comes to that. Like, I don't need the government involved at all with my religious beliefs.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point about schooling, it's like, you go to the schoolhouse to learn.
Yeah, no.
When you leave the schoolhouse, then you're back to,
If you're a religious person and you are expecting that non-religious people in the school system should be teaching your child morality based on your religious views, I would question how serious you take your own religion. Like, you should be the filter your kids understand who God is and how to live life. You should be. Not somebody that has you don't know what that teacher believes. You don't know how they grew up. And we're trying to put it on, public school teachers to, you're going to respect and you're going to, we're going to inject this in. Nah, man. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Your kid's going to be exposed to a lot of stuff. They're going to be out of your hands for most of the day. You're going to see them. For the time your kid is awake, we talked about this before, you're going to get home at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. The kid's going to go to sleep at 9:30 at night, the latest. If he's in high school, maybe 10 o'clock at night. You look at that. There's eating, there's homework, there's studying, there's chores. You got what? Each day, you got like an hour and a half of quality time with your kid. And in that hour and a half, you've got to inject as much as you can into your kid in terms of just morals and the way you want your kid to grow up. Don't put it off on these teachers, man. You can't.
That's a whole nother episode.
You can't. It's not this teacher's responsibility to teach your kids
children
morals,
life
man.
skills.
And I think if we can ask the guest next week.
Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very, very, very special guest next week on the show. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
we'll leave it at that.
I think most teachers would agree. They don't want the responsibility of teaching your kids morals. Your kids should come to the classroom already
ready to learn. Ready to learn.
I don't know if this is the right word.
Excited to learn.
They should come to the classroom trained, right? They should know how to act when they come here. The teacher's responsibility is not showing your kid how to act. It's become that.
It's terrible.
But it shouldn't be, man. Your kid should come knowing to sit down, shut up, listen, how to socialize with other people at the appropriate times, and that's it. They're not there to be disciplining your kid left and right.
Children are coming from completely unstructured home lives and are coming to a school system that is very structured. And we wonder why they're failing, why they're having such a hard time, especially in early childhood. It's like we're wondering why they're struggling so much. We're wondering why they're screaming and running around and tipping over freaking desks and all of these horror stories that I witnessed for a couple years in early childhood. We wonder why that is the case.
Part of that is, and I'd like to do research on the jerk that invented the 8-hour workday. Part of that is that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
I
agree.
You take, what is that, a third of the day. You take a third of the day, and really, if you count sleep.
Yeah, no, you have to.
So really, 2/3 of your day are gone. And like we said, you're left with an hour to raise your kids.
These teachers are raising the kids, man.
It shouldn't be that way. It's not their responsibility. I don't want a teacher raising my kid, and a teacher doesn't want to raise my kid either.
Now, teachers, of course, are going to love their students and do whatever they can to help them succeed. But it's just like the whole cop thing. The scope of your work is way too big. Teachers should have to go and teach. That's what they should be focusing on.
Yeah, the teacher's job is not to teach your kid not to talk back.
They're not paid enough. Cops aren't paid enough. It's like Chris Rock talked about. You get what you pay for, dude.
But it's not even the money, though. Like, every parent would understand it. You got to have a kid to get this. Like, you really do. You don't want... Look, I trust this man right here like a brother, for real. I don't want Matt raising my son.
Sure.
I don't. I trust Matt to, if Hector stays at your house,
come on.
You got 100% authority to scold him to whatever. But I want to raise my son.
Yeah.
I want to. I have a specific thing I want my kids to believe, to grow morally and stuff like that. And no one is going to do that better than me. That's the reality. Every parent feels that way about their kid. Everyone. You don't want a teacher doing that. A complete stranger.
It's heartbreaking, dude.
A complete stranger. Just
when we live in a society where it's, first of all, it's so freaking expensive to have childcare, and it's a necessity. You have to have childcare. You got multi-income families, and you're gone all day long. It's heartbreaking. Dropping an infant off. My sister just had a kid. Well, he's 1 year old as of yesterday. But he had to go in early, and these little infants. You're dropping your infant child off for a whole day. But you got to.
That's the economy. There's a lot of.
There's a lot of reasons why that is happening, but it's fucked up, man.
You wouldn't.
It's so messed up.
You wouldn't have the keys to your car and hand it to the teacher. You wouldn't go take my car. You wouldn't do what you give.
But here's the most incredible thing ever, and
so anyway. no one is gonna raise your kid better than you is the real point. No one is. You can trust people. Like I said, I would leave Hector with Matt for an indefinite amount of time, and I know Hector's gonna be all right.
Absolutely.
And you got all the authority in the world. Yo, don't do that. Yell at him and everything. Yeah. That's the relationship I have with Matt. But
at the end of the day,
you wouldn't give that to a stranger, and you still have. Nobody's gonna do it better than the parent, man. No, nobody. So putting it off on these teachers ain't fair. Putting it off on society isn't fair, which loops into this whole thing because that's what we were talking about. I said it a bunch of times before. Whether you believe in spanking your kid or not, disciplining your kid, everybody believes in. At least you should believe in. In some way, shape, or form, you should be disciplining your kid. And if you don't,
and you should also be using a lot of positive language in praising accomplishments as well.
You should, and that's been my challenge in life in general. So that's kind of the freaking parallel too.
Yeah.
As far as just my different relationships, I'm real good at pumping up the negative stuff and being the heavy hand. You got to have an equal good on that too.
You got to meet it.
You got to try, and that's where the challenge becomes. You know, if you're gonna get really upset about the bad stuff, you got to try to be as excited as you can about the good stuff.
Sure.
You can't always beat up a kid.
It's more important, dude.
You came in here with a D and an F or whatever, and I'm gonna beat you up now, and I'm gonna punish you for 3 weeks. But then when they come with an A and a B, you're just like, all right, good.
Well, yeah, you should be. You should. Yeah, that's right.
It's tough. And I'll be honest. I've been that
That's
guy.
your job.
I've been that guy most of my life. Like I've been that guy where like I get real sarcastic when I'm upset, and I'm like, round of applause for doing what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's been my attitude, right? To an extent, that's correct, right? But if you're being real vocal about the bad stuff people do, you need to be vocal about the good stuff they do, or else they're just gonna be afraid of you, man. And fear's not always a bad thing, especially when it's good for a kid to understand. Like, dad might get a little crazy. It's good for them to have that in the back of their head. It's good. They still love you and respect you. But it's good to, like, even if it's not true, right? That's good to be a parent. Like, that's a skill. That's a skill with parenting. Is to have you convinced I'll kill you even though I never would. Like, just that you know in your head that I would, even though I know I never would do that.
Right.
I know where the line is at.
Right.
You're not sure. You think I'm some crazy
very blurred.
nut.
It's very
He'll
blurred.
just grab you by the throat, throw me in the air, smack me in the ceiling. Like, you can think that. That's fine. I never would.
No.
But
no.
as long as you believe that, we're making progress, I guess, right? But dude, it's I don't know. How do you teach somebody to be just a regular human being? I don't know. For sure, having conversations, I guess. Have conversations with people that look different from you, that come from different places.
Have a relationship with your kids.
Go somewhere different, dude. I'm gonna tell you something. Go to Norfolk. Go to some of these restaurants in Norfolk and sit down and eat over there. Eat over there. Don't always go to town center and go to your,
Exposure is key.
Go out there, man. There's great food. I went like a hole in the wall yesterday. Place was real unassuming. You'd think nothing good is going on in there, but it was great food in there.
There you go.
Great people. Go out there and talk. We go to we travel the world and go to all these places to be exposed and kind of like the joke we made when my buddy went to Germany. He was like, why don't they speak English over here? We speak English on this planet.
Yeah.
Go places where they don't speak English, man. Go places, you go outside of your comfort zone and just go see the rest of the world, even down the block. That's what's cool about the 757. It's like Virginia Beach is a certain way. You go to Portsmouth and it's way different.
Mm-hmm.
Go over there and eat with those people. Check them out.
Go to Norfolk. Go to Newport News. Go to Suffolk.
You'd be surprised how similar people are.
Go to a different part of Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, man. It's a lot to unpack, and we've got lots to talk about next week. I'm looking forward to a special guest next week.
And the PlayStation will be announced
tonight. Should we tell them who's coming on the show next week?
Nah, they'll see.
Cliffhanger?
They'll see.
All right.
It's all good.
We'll see.
If you made it this far. This episode's kind of long, I think.
Yeah, wow, man.
Got places to go, chocolate to eat.
Man, one of these days we should just have like a $25 Amazon gift card, and whoever made it to the
end. At the end, right?
At the very end, be like,
I like that.
Ask a single question.
I like that. I like
something that only they would know.
The first person to comment,
this, and this.
Bubblegum pickles.
X2Y banana.
The first
gets
person
$25.
To
you know what?
Amazon.
I think we're going to do that next week.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not next week because I have a feeling people more people will watch next week because it'll just have a bigger reach because more people will share next week.
Yeah, they'll share next week. So.
Yeah. But we'll see. Anyway, that's for next time.
That's good.
We'll get an Amazon gift card. We'll get an Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
And we'll do a little secret giveaway.
Okay.
Too bad we ruined it.
No, I don't know if it's gonna be next week. On one of these episodes, we're gonna give something away.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. And you'll be sad that you didn't watch the whole thing. So
yeah,
I'll listen to the whole thing.
We're giving you a $5 Olive Garden gift card.
Yeah.
Soup salad.
Unlimited super salad.
Dude, that sounds so good right now.
A super salad?
A super salad.
Yeah.
All right,
okay.
man. Cool.
Let's get out of here.
All right. I'm Matt.
It's Tony.
This is the Tsunami Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You're always late. I can't take you anymore. You have
You never do your job. What are you doing?
You never do your job.
This is cool. I can't take you anymore. You're going to be out of here soon.
You lost your mind. I seen it happen.